This is your daily market recap for Tuesday, January 10th, 2023.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at East Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market recap for Tuesday, January 10th, 2023. This market review, we are going to talk about all the fun stuff, how we predict the markets day to day, in general, just talking about what's going on. First off, keep in mind, CPI Thursday, bank earnings Friday. We said this yesterday, said this Sunday night, Monday morning. Be on the lookout for pops early in the week and then pullbacks in the middle of the week. Well, you got your pullback yesterday, you got your pullback this morning. Not surprised we closed where we did. Are we out of the blue? No, we've got news. Please trade around your core positions, anticipate up and down, whatever direction you want, trade around it. I'm telling you, so many people are looking for certainty in trading versus positioning themselves to lose the minimal amount and also win if correct and trade around the position. It is that simple, but it's not, because the mind likes black and white, yes or no, very all or nothing kind of mindsets, and that's the problem with trading. If you get into it, you're not going to be very successful. So let's get into it, and we'll just go through it all. Again, pay attention. If you're following on Twitter, posted some good trades today, talked about taking profit in some names in the last couple days, talked about pulling back and buying the dips, XOP, some of the ag names, shit, even Amazon today took a little snap onto that. Yeah, let's just, again, if you want to get in touch with me, you're looking to up your skills in trading, looking for real estate help, DM me on Twitter. It's a good place to start. The Discord room is private, but I'm always looking to help people who are trying to help themselves. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. TraderFlorida.net coined that, and I truly believe that as well. If you need help, here you go. Here's a good starting place. 54 back to basics videos. Now, some people say, that's a lot. Do I really need to watch all that? Well, again, what is your dedication to the craft? Do you think trading is just some fun gambling game? Or do you look at trading as something as like a lifelong career goal to pull money out of the market? If you want to pull 5, 10, 15, 20 grand out of the market per month, you want to supplement your income, you want to buy real estate, how dedicated you are to learning. Remember, if you want to be the best at anything, you don't show up great, especially in trading, because the mind is the problem. Bitcoin, congratulations if you bought down here. We talked about the floor being the floor until it wasn't the floor. Well, it's bouncing. Now, conviction-wise, not really seeing it, but doesn't mean it can't float higher. I mean, this thing has been in a monster downtrend since literally November of last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't matter. Either way, lower highs, lower lows. But every time we've based out, you've had a trading range. So if you bought Bitcoin and you're holding for the long term, cool. I mean, I think you got a good entry down here. But if you're wrong, you stop out. Maybe it goes to 10, 12,000. You can rebuy. You don't marry any trade. I'm sorry. It's just I tell people that the one-off trades are what get all the advertisement. But people don't realize all the other trades people bought and held onto that did not make the money. And that is where people get their butt kicked. Oil. All right. Not surprised. Little doji day. Nothing to talk about. Talked about this being holding 70, bouncing. Or not holding. Sorry. 68, 70 area. I apologize. I don't want to take credit for the level. It didn't help. Thought we'd back test this area. You can see it down here. Maybe at worst 65, 66. Didn't get that. Bounced. People were like, oh, let's chase it. I'm like, no. Wait for the first big pullback. Well, we got it. 82 to basically 72. If you bought the dip, cool. Holding, stop is your entry. You really can't lose. Nat gas, man, this thing is just hard. I feel like we're at the lows. We have references over to the left. It's clear as day. But here's the thing about trading. Timing, price action, when something happens, you don't know. You just don't know. So I've told people I have no desire to play nat gas. I will watch it. It'll help me confirm XOP, but I will either be extremely late on this trade or I'll just play it through oil and gas names. Or oil or through oil and gas names, if that makes sense. So either way, let's move on. Let's get into the dollar, because I think a lot of people were expecting big moves in the dollar. Personally, we talked about this could be a bottoming, but I said in the videos very clearly, the bottom could be choppy, could play out. Now, again, you have a 2-day range. Could we gap up and go? That could be a recurring pattern. You do have high volume and indecision after a gap down. Could that be a novice gap? Absolutely. At this point, I have no dollar really mindset. Like what I don't really care. I've talked about the dollar action, the volatility in the dollar is what scares the market more. Same thing with the bond market. The prices as they move and flow, they don't matter. Sometimes day to day, week to week, month to month. It's when the dollar goes on a rip roaring uptrend that people get concerned. Well, now that you've pulled back, right? Held the 0.3, or sorry, got below the 0.382, trying to hold around the 0.5, this old trend line here. Does it need to get down there? I don't know. I personally don't really care. I'd like to see the dollar hover here and ultimately market go higher to short later. We've talked about that. Very, 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 very clear. Very, very, very clear. If it's not, that's the emotions here. I mean, personally, I've said, remember, if you go watch the video on mid-November, sorry, November 3rd, not November, mid-November, talked about this could be actually a novice gap, range, top, fail. Then you got the pro gap and it was game over. When is this trend over? Well, I would assume right now the dollar is losing its velocity down. Keep that in mind. Think of the rubber man theory. Big move gets successively smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. That's how you bottom. We'll see what happens. TLT, bond market, whatever, all over the place. Said this for a while, 5-6%. Bonds really aren't that scary. Can the fiscal government afford that? I don't know. Probably not. Long story short, if bond rates go screaming lower, right, yields go lower and TLT went screaming higher, I would be nervous that the market would be ready to get smoked and pull back. At this point, it is just basing. It's just hanging out. It just kind of is what it is. You want to try... you want to try to know what happens every day. Good luck. I mean, that's the warning that I give to all traders. I mean, even the post and the friends in the Discord room, like, hey, guys, I'm sorry to tell you, it's every day you're not going to know what's going to happen. And sometimes it's better to trade after the news than try to presume what's going to happen. At this point, middling doesn't look bad, doesn't look great. It's been, remember, bonds got absolutely throttled last year. So kabam! Just like the market. So does it bounce in January? Maybe. The VIX, everybody, again, this is what's crazy. For weeks, I mean, it feels like, I guess it's now a month and change. We've been saying, don't be surprised if the market chops out. Did anyone else tell you that? Again, hit the like button. Please subscribe. Nobody predicted that. But who? Me. Why? Because we talked about recurring patterns. We talked about how the market's been down. How we're talking about how the market is getting comfortable with what is known. What is not known becomes the big problem, right? Well, what is not known? Earnings. But at a certain point, we know the market has been reacting to earnings well, even though when the bad, like the news is bad, cutting business, laying people off, market rallies, or that stock rallies. So at this point, I've said this 1,000 times. Say it again. The VIX is probably trapped until the market blows out higher to trap bulls, get people thinking that the recession's over, and give bears the opportunity to capitulate at the highs. Because again, we talk about sentiment being part of the game for which the market has to trap people. If the game is meant to take the most amount of money from the most amount of people, then think about what the big next move should be. Because if everyone's bearish, put call ratio still over 1 quarter, whatever, 1.3, depending on the time of the day. Everyone, article is bearish and the market is holding up. I'm telling you right now, bear market rallies are real tricky. Real damn tricky. And at this point, it wouldn't surprise me to resolve higher. How much higher? I don't know. I mean, I have thoughts. This range, this area, maybe even up to 413. I don't see 430 coming. And if the 430 came, that would be pretty damn crazy. But long story short, you got to wipe out the bears. Now, again, if you're a bear, I'm sorry. I mean, until you've been in these traps 1,000 times like I have, essentially, you start realizing, like, wow, if the market's trying to screw me over, it's trying to present a narrative that is just not showing up in the charts, maybe it's me, not the market. Because the market's really good at doing that, convincing you something's going to happen that's already priced in, or convincing you something's going to happen, and it's going to happen, but it traps the people who try to get in early. The market is just a recurring pattern game. Remember that. QQQ. QQQ. QQ. Doji holding the 20-day doesn't look that bad. Remember, laggards could lead here. We talk about the IWM leading up at 1.5% today, making higher highs. Red alert. Red alert. Red alert. Remember, we talk about the IWM usually leads. Well, what is it doing here? It's making higher highs. Whoa, 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 whoa. Even though the SPY and the Qs aren't. Okay, just keep that in mind. Things that look bullish. Gold. Congratulations if you hold this. We talked about buying it down here post-Fed, and then look. We talked about taking profits here, backed off, sold the rest, and it's made higher highs. Well, hell, not surprised. If you watch previous videos, we talk about a run in the first quarter typically. Dan, why don't you own it? Because I don't chase. There's not a significant enough pullback to buy. We talked about the pullback in mid-December. You got it. But I mean, damn, that is pretty shallow. So you miss moves, you miss moves. Again, the people who have FOMO don't have belief that they can find trades later. Like if they miss a trade, they sit there and cry and whine. It's like saying, hey, you should have bought Bitcoin at 50 and it went up to 60,000. Oh, and you should have sold. No, you do what you did at the time and you learn from it. At this point, if you own it, I've said this 1,000 times, I expect gold to go much higher over time. But the second quarter, the way the market's acting, I don't think it's going to be rip-roaring higher. I think it's going to get volatile. And if it does, guess what? There will be a pullback. You can bet your butt there will be a pullback worth buying. And if it goes much higher, well, guess what? I mean, hopefully you own physical like we talked about for almost years. You should have physical gold and silver. If you don't have it now, what the hell were you waiting for? The crowd to jump in? Da-da-da, silver, same kind of thing. The problem here now is that gold's testing highs, silver's not. That's a problem. Okay? 20-day, we'll see. Is it exciting enough to get like bearish? No. I mean, if you had profits and you bought at 16 and you got up to 22s, I mean that's not a bad trade. So if you took some profits and it pulls back, you can add. And if it goes higher and you took some profits, guess you still have some. I mean, that's the part of trading around a position. GDX, again, I don't really trust the miners here, but trust but verify. Trust but verify. I mean, it's getting over our resistance zones. It's holding up. We'll see what happens. Again, if you've owned miners, congratulations. Trade around your position. Be smart. You know how these things work. GDXJ, same thing. Holding up. Do you have a reason to short it? Long it? I mean, I don't know. You know, I mean, you just kind of look at it. You go, well, if I was long this, again, the higher it runs, the less I would own, naturally. Now, people are like, oh, we could go on a monster run. Well, okay. No one's going to doubt that. But the reoccurring pattern is finding a peak January, February, March, whatever, and then pulling back. Because the seasonality of gold. Remember, you have to get through Chinese New Year, reallocation into gold early in the year for later seasonal wedding season and all that crap coming up in India. It has natural floating tendencies, right? And again, people who I get this question like, aren't the GDX and the GDXJ like they're going to go to 100 at some point? They probably could, but they're not going to get there quickly. I'm just telling you now, there will be pullbacks along the way. And if you have to, you trade around it. I mean, it's just that simple. I don't own any right now, but names like AG, not really confirming that silver is ripping higher. Could we be wrong? Absolutely. Is Dan wrong? Are you wrong? Everyone's wrong at some point. AEM, we just have higher probabilities of a right. People notice that. They follow, go, damn, that guy's right a lot. Yeah, he's wrong a lot too. He's not wrong a lot, but when he is, people just seem to remember that. But that's how it is. You remember your losses better than your wins, right? That's actually how you learn. AEM looks good, holding high and tight. Royal Gold. Oh, sorry, holding up well. AEM, Royal Gold, Newmont. Okay, in the resistance zone. Again, some people are itching to short it. I know why, because it's a piece of crap operator. Leave it alone for now, or just watch it. I mean, start layering in, take little baby dips. PAAS, holding up. Don't really like the amount of gold deal with AEM, but it is what it is. Can't argue with it. It's holding up. AMD, trying to move faster through names that don't really, again, they're not appealing to me because they're not at points where I was going to buy or short. So if it's not, then just if you have it, let it run, trade around it, be aware. AMD, we talked about it. Coming back into the low 60s, and then it gapped up. Look what happens. Holding with a 50-day. Doesn't look bad. NVIDIA. Again, remember, these names have been absolutely slaughtered. New money allocation year. They're buying losers. I'm telling you, that's what happens. New money, new allocation. Tax law selling. Wash rule. 30 days. They sold in December, November. They're buying January 1st and on. Seasonality effect. Hello. NVIDIA, same kind of thing. Goes for 330, 340. What was the high of this sucker? 348. Gets down to 110. Pulls back, bouncing, floating higher. Not surprised. Probably can get back up into this 168, 175. That would probably be where I would think about selling more of the position / shorting. SMH, stuck under the 200-day, but doesn't look that bad. Again, we talked about yesterday. Need more information. If these names start rallying after they got slaughtered, right? 330 down to 170, 167, something like that. This early rise is exactly the squeeze you want to see to knock out the bears and to get the bulls chasing. And then the market makers unload into their face and say, goodbye, adios. Adobe, down 3 points. Remember, tech, be careful. Some tech's lagging, some is acting okay. In general, please do not sit here and say, well, I'm buying this for the long run. What's the long run? 10 years? Hope you make money. If you don't know the past history of tech, I don't know what to tell you. But once the momentum's lost, it's just leave it alone. There'll be other tech that'll lead, trust me. Adobe, chopping, who knows? Apple, the fruit, we talked about the 125. Holding. Now 130 is like the resistance. I don't trust Apple. But again, if the market holds up and it holds up, then there's really nothing to see. Amazon. All right, they're getting involved with ChatGPT. AWS is going to back up their servers. I mean, ChatGPT is literally being used all the time now, constantly. Now, does that mean it's going back to 190? No. This is just a trade. That headline helps pump it. We talked about it yesterday, getting over the 20-day. It looked okay. Because what's been the problem, right? The 20-day, the 20-day, the 20-day. Well, now it's gapping over it, off the lows, a little double bottom. Okay, double bottom and a gap. That's why we bought. Now, people say, oh, look at the doji. Well, then I watched it this morning. It was pulling back towards 88 change. Said, all right, I'll take a little stab in it. There you go. Nice close. Not going to complain about that. You're welcome. Things that aren't bearish. CRM lays off, what, 10% of their workforce? Rink, rallying. Okay, now how much higher can it go? I don't know. If you're getting in now, you're late. But that just shows you, okay, the market wants to rally. Guggenheim. Man, that looks pretty interesting. Open low, close high after yesterday. Chopping, you got a low. Watch it. Meta. People are talking about shorting this. I'm like, if the market's going to float higher, why the hell do you want to be the first to the party to short? Could it go higher? Absolutely. Maybe it just chops here. No desire. No desire. What's up, Kat? Microsoft. Talked about it. That was the short, man. Remember that? Missed that. Talked about it popping. Now here it comes back down. They had, didn't they get a big downgrade? Oh, Kat, you can't press that button. Microsoft, sorry, the Gato's on the lap. I mean, again, this name is, I don't think you really want to play it. I don't know what their momentum is. I know they actually bought into some ChatGPT, but, well, whatever. Maybe that headline is only as good as a day or two. We'll see. NDAQ, or a week, I don't know. And we talked about this bouncing, holding again. Show me the 65 to 67 range. DM me, call me. Let's short it. MicroStrategy said you could get up in the 180s. Well, guess what? Bitcoin's rallying. We talked about this retesting. Prior lows. Talk about retests all the time. Oh, I got to chase. I got to buy now. Nope. Even GDX, all mine, whatever. Here it goes. We talked about this gapping up. That was like, that's kind of interesting. Held the 20-day. Nice close. Things that aren't bearish. Netflix. Man, somebody said they wanted to short this. I saw a bunch of people saying 315, 315, 315. There it goes. Punches right back to the high. No desire. Upside target zone. Wait for it. Retest. You're in there. Could it go higher? Well, if the market floats higher, remember, this was a $700 stock at one point. Some people still think this is a cheap stock, even though we know fundamentals have eroded. Whatever. Long story short, the market rallies. This could rally up with it. I mean, be patient. Roblox, you're welcome. You're welcome. Buying this in the 27, 26 range. Now we're getting up closer to the upside near-term targets. Take a little profit. Let some run. See what happens here. Maybe you get lucky and this turns into a runner. Oh, you don't know what a runner's like? This is a runner. That's a runner, right? That's a run, right? Remember, it's oversold. Cash. I know they lose money, but they had the potential to be a cash cow if they get added into someone's systems. I've said this a million times. Like Microsoft, Apple, Google, Amazon. I mean, you pick it. I mean, this thing has the ability to generate a ton of cash and recurring influx of kids spending never end. I mean, it's literally legalized gambling for kids in a different way. I don't know how else to describe it. Well, long story short, more you're up, less you own. Awesome trade. I mean, 27, 26, if you bought this, not complaining. Throw your boy a tip if you really feel like it was worth it. And again, I don't require it, and we're trading it. I'm not complaining, but I think people start to realize the longer they hang out, are we perfect? No. Are we giving you an edge, an understanding of the market, what's happening day to day, week to week? Yes. Are we always right? No, of course not. But we're trying to put you in a position to make money. And if you're making money and you're doing well and your tuition is lower, I'm telling you right now, you are emotionally intelligent and way above everybody else. Tesla put out a tweet today, said watch the 120, 123, whatever, I can't remember. Watch this level, 123, I guess it said. Hit it, doink, bounced off, chopping around. Not surprised. This is resistance until it's support, right? You got to get over it. Well, does it mean it has to fail? No. Just chopping. So, in that note, commodities. Hey, look at them rally right back. Holy crapola. X pulls back. Someone takes some profit. Look at it. Goes right higher. Commodities look decent, right? Nucor pulls back $2 yesterday. Zing, $10 higher. Again, we're talking about commodities. Now, I'm hoping some of the ag names start catching up soon, which I think they will because nat gas is held down. You're going to get into the planting season. People need to eat, son. Got to eat. But commodities acting well. VALE up another 2.5%. We talked about things that aren't bearish. If you're listening, Solomon, keep in mind, this doesn't look bad, bud. You control me all you want, but I'm trying to be your friend here. Look at this stuff. I mean, all these names making new highs. Arrow chopping, not ideal if you're a bull, but I mean, talk about taking profits, but if you're a bull, I mean, you see it high and tight. I mean, maybe it needs a couple days of just chopping out. CCJ talked about even this thing rallying. Things that aren't bearish, right? Here you go. Coming up. Looks okay. If you got in down here, cool beans, bruh. CF. People are a little disappointed today, but I'm actually, again, because if you bounce off the bottom, at some point you come back. That's where it's like picking bottoms is always like, all right, start layering and then you get entries. Well, if you didn't add any today, shame on you. I mean, I did. I mean, I didn't even get the bottom. Remember, I told you, I was like, oh man, I missed it a little bit. So my cost base is somewhere in like the 83 to 82 range. I don't have it right in front of me, but it doesn't matter. I think this is the bottom. This thing could be a zinger. Look what it did in last January. Zing. I mean, even I would take that. 64 up to 75, 9 points. Oh, I would take, let me see if there's another good zinger move on this thing. Early year. Yeah, here you go. I mean, zing. Here's the pullback in January. Zing. I mean, it is what it is. This looks like a bottom worth watching. Mosaic. Pulled back today, 5%. Okay. Cool. We talked about taking profits on this. God forbid if you didn't. We talked about 47 area. Boom. I mean, I pulled the trigger in the AM at 47.75. I think got up to 47.96, 48 approximately. Boom. Starts pulling back. Start adding. Got some 20. Oh, it filled the gap. Great. I mean, you never know for sure. But the volume was light. It's kind of one of those things where I've seen this play a game and then rally, and then you could buy the gap fill later. So it did. It's getting there. Cool. If you start buying, hell yeah. You know, like the Steve Austin. Hell yeah. NTR, talked about buying in the 70s. Well, good. Low 70s. Here you go. Bounces. All right. Pulls back. Are you surprised? No. I'm telling you right now. Bottoms, tops, the more vertical are, the more vertical, quick, the opposite way. Well, this has been a choppy bottom. We not agree. You have a capitulation and then you have a retest. The first pullback should get bought. We'll see what happens here. Aaron, you're welcome. Again, I mean, I hope people will. I haven't seen a ton of donations lately because I just don't know what people are doing. I think this is confusing. And again, that's how I guesstimate how people are doing, because when they're doing well, they feel generous. I mean, it's the same way. Like if I'm winning and you gave me help, I'm going to share. And if you don't, then it is what it is. And we talked about the 200-day was coming. You're welcome. Now what? I mean, here you go. 59, 58 area. So, and again, I appreciate everybody. Again, I don't require it. I just think, you know, if you live in the abundant mindset of sharing, you don't mind. Honestly, you really don't mind. And again, I'm chipping 5, 10, 15, 20. I mean, whatever you feel comfortable with. Because the goal is to make money, purchase real assets, gold, silver, maybe Bitcoin if it ends up being the right one, and real estate. Real assets. Or investing to pay yourself. You know, if you want to buy certain like annuity products or certain mutual funds that have high dividends. I get it. I don't like high dividend stuff. I like real estate because of the tax advantages. Anyway, long story short. 200-day, there you go. I mean, congratulations. Pat yourself on the back if you were able to trade around this and it just started ripping today. And if you took some off and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have. Well, guess what? That's part of the game. If you let some ride, now you got some cool. And you hit the 200-day. And if you took all your profit and you bought it at 41, like we said, and it goes to 52, 50, good for you. Quit your bitching. Camp, quit your bitching. Right? But just keep in mind. Wait for, if you're looking, wait for a pullback. There will be one. There always is. Camp, quit your bitching. Financials talked about, like, well, the market's holding up. All right. Yesterday, chopping doesn't look that bad. I mean, said this 1,000 times. Like, if the market ain't rolling over, if the financials are holding up. JP Morgan makes new highs, chopping. This doesn't look bearish. Morgan Stanley lays off 5%, says everything's not that great. Boom, making higher lows off the highs, higher highs and higher lows off the lows. XBI every day, yesterday, people were like, oh, this looks like it's going to roll over. Bang, comes right back in. Now, again, I think this is in the do not trade list in the sense of it's just too choppy, but it's not rolling over. Long story short, right? Tan said, solar, yeah, okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I want to short it. No, you don't. We talked about it. If the market's going to rise, do not step in front of the freight train and try to short first. I'm just telling you, every time. Every time you fight the market, and when I say fight the market, try to short when the market's going higher or try to long when the market's going lower. It's a hard trade. I mean, I still do it, but again, I try to hopefully do it smaller and try to like isolate out. Like, is the market really going higher or lower? And do I need to get the hell out? Well, hopefully today confirms some of that, right? ENPH, this thing looks like crap, man. But is this playing a game? The market maker's trying to hold us down to spring it up. I don't know. Sedge, it's okay. Holding, support, not much to say. First Solar, God, so many people wanted to short it. So many people want to short. I'm like, you better be careful. Hey, you guys. You guys. I'm telling you gotta. The market's going higher. Some names will rip. Some won't. I mean, again, just be careful. I know people are technically like, oh, you hit 161. It's back at low. Do you think it's a short? And I'm like, no. I mean, I really didn't even watch it today. I've been busy as hell. And I just look up and I'm like, holy crap. 171. Goodbye, bears. I mean, that's literally what happened. XOP. Again, if you took profits yesterday, like we recommended, that's a solid little move there. 11 points, 10%. Pulls back. Man, I said, go check Twitter. Watch the 132, 131, 130 here. I can't remember exactly what number. I mean, but I said watch for a pullback. Basically to the 20-day, sorry, the 8-day right here on lower. Nice. Nice. Very nice. If you bought that, rallies back, closing to the high of the day. You're welcome. Sorry, USO, flat. Now again, oil gas, a little trickier. Doesn't look damaged. Chopping. Nat gas, UNG. I absolutely hate the UNG. Every time someone says they're buying it, I cringe. I, think of me as a gangster. I have to tattoo another teardrop next to my eye because of all the fallen soldiers who've bought UNG thinking it would work. I, at some point, had a tattoo to my back when I got stopped out. It just is what it is. I hope it's bottoming for their fact and it'll help XOP. But damn, UNG is a crappy ETF, and damn, is natural gas not hard as crap. So if it's hard, move on. Try something else. Do something that's easier. ExxonMobil. Speaking of, we talked about it, everyone's like, oh, market's going to roll over. And it's like, why is ExxonMobil climbing back towards the all-time high? Not even all-time highs, but the all-time recent highs, whatever you want to call that. Maybe that is the all-time highs. I think it might be, actually. Whatever. Doesn't look bearish. Oxy. Floating. I imagine Buffett sold puts. Now what? See what happens. Doesn't look terrible. PXD, I was watching this today around 228. I was like, should I take a stab at it? I'm like, I'd like it for a bigger pullback, but not surprised. Held. EQT. Remember, these guys are the worst at hedging their exposure. Even this is rallying back. Hopefully this is easy, simple. I know it's not. And here's the thing. If you, in your mind, are pressed to always win, always be right, it's no different than playing poker and playing every pot or playing every hand, even with 2-7 offsuit, Jack 3 unsuited, whatever analogy you want to do. Like, the more you play, the more you gamble, the more you risk, the less likely you are to win. So the goal is to try to create an edge and stick to it. And just assume, hey, it's a probabilities game. If you win 8, 9 out of 10 out of times, you are doing amazing. If you're mediocre like most people, you're flipping coins. Half the time you're right, half the time you're wrong. That's just the reality of how all this works. So the goal is to get better at how do you do that? You need to know what the market's doing. You need to know the seasonality. You need to know what's going on in the news, what's upcoming news. You need to know Stock Trader's Almanac. You need to know what's earnings. All these things. I put it out in those Back to Basics videos. And if you're not watching it, I don't know what the hell you're doing in the Discord room or following. Because I'm telling you right now, if you want to be great at trading, you're taking on the computers. You're taking on a machine, like a casino. We have to create our own statistical edge by doing certain things right, well, and great. Expecting we can lose, but having an edge. If you don't have an edge, you might as well quit. And I'm telling you right now, if you don't enjoy the study in the game, you're never going to get there. You can't cut corners to a six-pack abs, right? The joke, like they always say, six-pack abs are made in the kitchen. Well, that's where it starts here. Like, knowing the basic understanding of how the market is literally trying to take the most amount of money from the most amount of people. If you don't understand how the market makers work, it doesn't matter. I don't care about social media bros that are killing it in the markets, because I know what's happening. Like, they get lucky or they find a little niche and it works for like a week, a month, a year, and then the market changes and it screws them over. Because that's what we always have to be on, is red alert. Tendencies change. Things are always repeating patterns, but repeating patterns in the sense of they don't always repeat. Now you're like, what the hell does that mean? It means like, well, again, the market is always trying to take the most amount of money. So it'll create patterns that look resemble to fail, then to recreate them again. And so you have to always be on red alert. Like that's where it's so hard, right? You're going up against a habitual liar trying to take all your money. So you're trying to read their action, read their beliefs, read their thoughts. Again, that's understanding how the market takes your money. Again, I put the recommended reading. There's 2 books. Reminiscent Stock Operator will give you that part. The other part, trading, understand how the market makers work in the sense of volume price analysis, is the next part. Hit me up if you have any questions, real estate related, trading related. My goal is to help the most amount of people. Again, giving back. I do not believe in a lack. There is lack. This is an abundant universe. The more I help people, the more abundance that is attracted to me. The more, I mean, again, if you can teach something and you understand something, you can share it, then you know it. So anyway, talk to you guys and gals later. Cheers.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.